Hello, welcome to Around the NBA Playoff Edition. Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Show, guys. We are back. We are loving basketball as always. I'm joined by Manny as always. Medina couldn't make it tonight, guys. Manny, we got a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, it's been a while, but obviously the playoffs, man. Little different this year. Little different how things are. But obviously the biggest picture tonight is the two big teams that are still in it, still competing for the finals, Clippers and Suns, Hawks and Bucks. Tonight, a lot of people thought up 3-1. Clippers are playing are playing for their season, and they had to step up tonight. Paul George, man, I mean, he absolutely basically carried the team tonight. He was great. I always give credit where credit's due. You got to give it to them.
Same.
I give it to the Clippers tonight, man. I meant they absolutely played their asses off tonight. They played to win this game. They're still down 3-2 in the series. What did you see from Phoenix tonight? I mean, it just seemed like they were making too many threes. I think they just didn't adjust their game enough. What did you see from this game tonight, Manny?
Well, like you said, they did shoot a lot of threes, and that's a huge mistake that they made because they shot 9 for 26 from three. Like, I get you have firepower in that team. Like, Devin Booker can shoot the three. CP3 can shoot the three. Cameron Payne, we all remember what he has been doing in these playoffs, which is incredible. He revitalized his career after being, like, let go from the league after having stints in Chicago and in OKC. Now he's been a very good player. I know he only had 5 points tonight, but the rest of the games he's been very good. Devin Booker obviously is a big key to their success these playoffs. I know they lost tonight, but he had 31 points tonight and shot 4 for 6 from 3. He actually had a great game, and as well as Chris Paul. Obviously, he was an MVP candidate in the regular season, and he is just playing really, really well. I find he's basically like one of those stars that's like up in his 30s, and he still has it. He still has that NBA body. He's still able to shoot. He's still able to make plays, and the game is just so easy for him, even at like 35, 36 years old. I forgot what age he is. Like, he's around there, I believe. And he had 22 points, and he had 8 assists. He's still capable of getting double-digit assists as well in this game. But the one guy I feel like I'm not very impressed with, specifically tonight, is DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
I feel like he should have played way better than he already played, because I get he had a double-double. I get he had 10 points and 11 rebounds and he shot 5 for 9 from the field. But I feel like without Zubac, he should have been able to get inside more, and he should have been able to attack the paint more. But he was very chillaxed the way he was playing, and I think that's one of the key reasons why Phoenix took an L tonight. But as for the Clippers, Aaron, without Kawhi Leonard, they are really proving us wrong. I can see why the media was really high on this team, because depth-wise, they're incredibly deep. Obviously, shout out to Clipper Darrell and shout out to Matthew, two people that we know that love the Clippers. And they're playing very well at Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, as much as, we like to ridicule him because of his lack of playoff success.
We have a special guest.
Medina is in the house.
Look who decided to join on in.
I decided to surprise you guys. I'm sorry I look terrible.
I'm happy with the surprise. We missed you, Medina.
We love surprises. Gotta complete the team here. What's going on, Medina?
I'm sorry I look like a mess. I just got back from the gym a while ago. Thank you. It's actually sweat, but thank you, Manny. I appreciate it.
No problem.
What are we talking about tonight, guys? It's good to be back.
Well, we are talking Clipper Suns. Obviously, I was telling Manny, we were just saying that, look, I thought 3-1, you're thinking Phoenix, you're playing in Phoenix. I mean, let's mention the fans here in Phoenix. I mean, I give these guys their fans a lot of credit. They're loud. I mean, I don't know. I think if someone were to take a decibel reader and put it between Chase Center, where the Warriors play, and Phoenix's arena tonight, I think they're probably tied because those fans get loud. They're obnoxiously crazy people. They were keeping the team going. But obviously, besides the fans being so loud, which is great, love seeing the basketball arenas full. It's so nice to see normalcy again around the world. I got it. We were saying you got to give it to the Clippers tonight. They played great. Paul George. A lot of people. Matthew even says, look, you silence the crowd, and that's what he did. I mean, look, he literally, I feel like Paul George basically carried the team a good chunk. I mean, look, 41 minutes and 41 points. I mean, that says a lot. I mean, you when it comes to clutch moments, guys, I mean, look, we've seen it before with other teams in the league as well. You do what you got to do to try and keep your season alive. And I mean, the Clippers are alive for one more game. They got to see what happens. Do they respond? That's the ultimate thing. Does this actually go 7 games? Obviously I felt like I thought the Phoenix Suns would have a little bit more of the advantage because you're thinking that, for the Clippers, they don't have a Zubac playing. They don't have a Baca. They don't have someone really that can go out there. But obviously, a guy that got forgotten about as well, DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie Cousins. I think he played 5 games or so. He didn't play very many games in the regular season, or I don't think he really played much in the playoffs either.
He didn't.
And then all of a sudden, just shows up and just actually looks like DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, he looks healthy. It's great to see him on the floor. It's good to see him healthy. He was a big piece of their puzzle tonight too.
Oh, absolutely. Back to what I was saying before about the Clippers, as they keep impressing us. The media, I guess, was right when they said they were very deep. And back to what I was saying about Paul George, as much as we like to ridicule him on Twitter, obviously like to call him Pandemic P and COVID P and all that. But he really, really shined tonight in Kawhi Leonard's absence. 41 points is nothing shorthanded of. And I saw when I was watching the game and they were going back from commercial break, and they were saying that I think Jordan, Kobe, and Kevin Durant were 3 other guys that had 10 straight games of 40-point games in the playoffs, which is absolutely incredible. He's proving me wrong. I'll admit, I'd be lying if I said I didn't do this. I'm one of those guys on Twitter that does say playoff P, pandemic P, and he is really, really shutting me up, I guess. If the Clippers end up actually coming back down 3-1 against Phoenix, I don't believe it'll happen because I think Phoenix is the best remaining team in these playoffs. But if they do come back, they'd be proving me wrong. And as a Laker fan, I would not be really happy to see that, obviously. But I got to give credit where credit's due. We always do that here on the Ultimate Sports Show. If they're playing very well, we got to talk good about them. And another guy I got to shout out on the Clippers as well is Reggie Jackson. He's been very good in these playoffs. He had another great game tonight, shooting-wise, because he's been possibly their best shooter in the playoffs, the Clippers. He had 23 points, and he shot 4 for 7 from 3. So I am absolutely shocked. I got to give credit where credit's due. I'm happy for Matthew. I'm happy for Clipper Darrell, but for me, no comment.
Go ahead, Medina. What's your thoughts?
My professional side on the Ultimate Sports Show will say this. You got to give credit where it's due, like you guys have been saying. And as much as it does pain me to say this, the Clippers have been just the better team this playoff series, even with their best player being out. Matthew actually here in the comments mentioned that Leonard might come next game, but I don't really think the Clippers need him to come back. In my opinion, I would just keep resting him, and in case we don't want him to have a more severe injury. We don't want him to come back too soon, especially if the Clippers are doing good without him. I know these last couple of games have been really close, But I mean, you gotta give it to Paul George. And believe me, guys, as a Laker fan, saying this, it really hurts. But I have to admit, like, he's been carrying this team really well, and so has Reggie Jackson. Everyone has, God, even Pat Beverly has been playing good. He's been shutting down Booker, and they're just making up for what they did last year to themselves. And it's possible that last year they were the ones that lost the 3-1 lead, and this year they might be the team that comes back from a 3-1 lead. It's possible, and you never know what can happen. And if Suns only need one more game, I believe the next game is at the Suns home.
Yeah.
No,
it's at Staples.
Oh, it's at Staples.
The rest of the way it's 1-1, so it's just jumps back and forth. So
that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be a close game for sure.
It's gonna be a close game, and you know what? Obviously, it's back. They're back at it Wednesday, 6:00 on ESPN. That game, I mean, it's gonna be the rest of the way. The Clippers are playing right now. They're playing as the underdogs. You're down in a series. It's very hard. It's obviously very hard to come back from being down 3-1. There's other teams that have done it before in the past, and you know what? It's one of those where you just have to use. You have to keep the momentum going for yourself. So if the Clippers keep their momentum and they play the way they did, if they play the way they did tonight against Phoenix in Phoenix, then they're gonna definitely tie the series up. But if not, if Phoenix comes out and they're the stronger suit, Phoenix is gonna be hungry to finish them off in Staples Center. We already know that. I mean, look. You look at other teams. I mean, there's nothing that's crushing more to lose on your home court. So, I honestly think Phoenix comes out and plays great if Booker has a great game. I think also if the Clippers don't have a shot blocker and as the center, as in Zubac or if they're not starting DeMarcus Cousins and they're going around different options here, I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers even look at starting Boogie Cousins. I think that'd be a great option for them as well. I don't think he should be. I think instead of playing Marcus Morris starting, I think they should have DeMarcus Cousins come out and switch them out because, if they want to keep things even, I would think they would want to match up against Ayton better. What do you guys think? I think that's just a better fit, and I think Boogie Cousins deserves it. I mean, he's been in the league a lot longer than Marcus Morris.
And he's been playing very well as of late, Boogie Cousins. Like, I have to admit, I'm very happy for Boogie Cousins because obviously a former Laker, but he didn't get to play any minutes for us because he was still rehabbing from his ACL injury that he got from the Pelicans and then he got from the Warriors. I'm actually very happy to see him healthy because it's been 2.5 years that he hasn't looked good on the NBA court because of his bad injury past. But yeah, absolutely, they should definitely start him because they didn't have Zubac tonight. Like, they really need that rim protecting, but for a wait for the Clippers to win and close the series off, DeAndre Ayton needs to play with more aggression because he had a lack of aggression these past few games. Look, I get that he shot 5 for 9. I get he had a double-double, but you got to play like you care. You got to get in the paint and you got to show aggression because if you're a center in today's NBA, that's your game. You have to show aggression in the paint. If you don't do that, guys are just gonna go right past you and just drive the lane and score. You gotta also shot block, and you just absolutely have to play like you care. If you don't do that, it's not gonna go well. And also, another thing the Suns need to do is they just really have to play more front court guys. That's another thing as well. Like, I didn't like the fact that their first round pick this year, Jalen Smith, only played 1 minute. Jalen Smith is a lottery pick. He has to show where he's at. He has to show his value. He's a lottery pick, and he needs to be playing a lot more. I don't know why Monty Williams is like, let's play DeAndre Ayton all these minutes and not give Jalen Smith any backup minutes. Like 1 minute garbage time, it's not going to work like that. You need to show aggression in the paint because if you don't do that, guys are just going to go right past you. And in my opinion, that's the main reason why the Clippers ended up beating the Phoenix Suns tonight.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't really get to watch most of the game today, so and I haven't really had a chance to look at the stats or the highlights just yet. But from what I've been seeing these last couple of games from the Suns, again, it pains me to say this, but the Clippers have been doing better than the Suns. I know the Suns have been winning, but by, maybe not by luck, but they've had some pretty close games where every game they played so far against the Clippers, it's been a really close game where they almost lost it. And I just feel like they need to come out more aggressively, in my opinion, especially Booker and CP3. We didn't think the Clippers would get this far, especially without, Kawhi being injured. And here we are, with the possible, if they're going back to Staples Center, and there's a high chance that the Clippers might win the next game at home. And yeah, it's Phoenix. They're hungry for the win, but what are they going to do about it next game? What are they going to do differently? Who's going to come out and play the way they need to? Who's going to come out and play aggressive? I know we're going to be playing at Staples, but it's really I feel like this game is really going to determine, well, obviously it's going to determine like who's going to win the next game. But I really feel like if Clippers win this next game, they tie the series, they have a high chance of winning the Western Conference Finals, guys. And, it's possible. It's possible. They're a great team. They've been doing great without Leonard, and the Suns have been struggling this series. And as great as it is as Laker fans to finally see the Suns struggling, because they haven't struggled at all in this playoff series, we don't want that. Obviously, we want to see it. We want to see this already closed out. We wanted to see it be done tonight, and here we are, game 6. Next game is game 6. Yeah, here we are with game 6. It's not over. This playoff series has been so unpredictable. I don't know about you guys, but all my predictions have been wrong, at least for the West, and it's gone nowhere where I thought it would go. I did not think the Clippers would get this far into the series, so they have a chance of winning it, guys, and I think we need to be prepared mentally to see that for once happening.
It's I was telling Manny and I were talking about this in the beginning. Is look, if you, we were talking about this too. Anybody that joined us on Spaces earlier, thanks for coming in and joining. We were saying too, could you imagine the fact that when the playoffs started, you're thinking, playoffs are starting, you're having the best of the best, you're having LeBron, you're having Anthony Davis, you're having Kyrie Irving, you're having Kevin Durant, James Harden, Luka Doncic, you're having all these guys, Giannis, all the superstars coming out, round one of everything, and then all of a sudden, it just what happens? It's just crazy how obviously injuries and how things have played out. Look, everyone thought right now we'd be talking about Brooklyn and possibly Brooklyn and Milwaukee. That's what everyone said. That's what everyone thought that was gonna be. Well, let's switch gears here. Obviously the Hawks, Hawks and the Bucks here. Obviously that team. I think the Hawks. If anybody predicted that the Hawks would be in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, if anybody took a bet on it that was in Vegas or wherever they were to make a bet on it, they are banking some good money right now because nobody thought the Hawks were going to make it there.
I would have been banking on some good money right now. I had a feeling they were going to make it that far. I did. And I said Bucks in game 7 against the Nets. Could have been a millionaire by now.
Well, yeah.
I had to be the Knicks, but I didn't think they were going to make it this far.
Hey, obviously the Knicks though. Look at the Eastern side of things, you guys. The Knicks making the playoffs. I loved it. I love seeing them in the playoffs.
Me too.
Obviously it's great. Obviously I think it'd be great to have a West Coast and the West Coast or California and New York team, vice versa, whoever it may be. Back in the finals again. I think that'd be fun. I think obviously Boston's great, but New York is cool because not only just how the two teams are and who doesn't want to play in the Big Apple as well. But obviously I give a lot of credit to Atlanta right now. Trae Young's been playing great. He just playing with a purpose. I just feel like the way he's been playing, he shot out of his mind. Let's start there. I'm shocked the Hawks didn't win yesterday, but obviously, guys, we've been saying this all year round. 48-minute game. the leads can change at any time. I mean, you could be up by 10 in a game, and all of a sudden you go on, this other team's going on a 7-0 run, knock it down to 3, tie the game, vice versa. You know, the game's consistently changing. You're never gonna see really a big lead. You're not gonna see any teams blow out somebody by 25 points in the playoffs. You might see that in a regular season game, but it's all hands on deck. And you know, I feel like that's just the way the Hawks and the Bucks have been doing it. You know, they're battling. You know, obviously Milwaukee won the last game. They're up 2-1 in the series, 113-102. But obviously Middleton. I mean, Manny, you mentioned it earlier and on Spaces. Middleton, he's been incredible. And he's, you know, people have been saying, like, you know, with him and Giannis, like, oh well, why isn't Giannis touching the ball? No, give it to Middleton, man. I mean, he is literally looking like Cameron Payne of the West Coast right now. Like, he just cannot miss.
He has been incredible, and if you guys got to see our Spaces that me and Aaron did with Vince and keeping it real, like, he's been incredible, Chris Middleton. Last game he had 38, 11, and 7, almost a triple-double, and this guy could not miss in the fourth quarter. When you're clutch, it speaks volume. Like, we've seen how Kobe was when he was clutch. We've seen LeBron in the playoffs clutch. Middleton is having that type of performance in these playoffs. He is so freaking clutch. And when you're playing like that, you're able to win the close ones. It's very important in the NBA to win the close ones because that determines a series most of the time. And obviously, I'm not taking nothing away from Giannis. He's been incredible as well. But Middleton, like, the one question I had basically as an NBA fan was, is Middleton going to be that durable sidekick right next to Giannis? And it looks like he is. He's really been doing amazing. He shot 6 for 12 from 3 the last game. That's 50% from 3. The man was having like a Steph Curry type performance in the fourth quarter, which is absolutely incredible. And if the Bucks do end up winning the championship, like, I'm like, no disrespect to Giannis, but honestly, Chris Middleton could get the Finals MVP for how he's been playing in these playoffs. But another thing I gotta talk about, obviously, like, to go off topic, obviously, I want to talk about the Hawks, not just the Bucks. The Hawks have, like, remember I mentioned Steph Curry. This kid is the next Steph Curry, and I've been seeing that since the day he got drafted, Trae Young. Oh my God. Like, he's been having 40, 50-point, 35-point games like nothing in these playoffs. And the man can shoot from anywhere. Put him anywhere on the court, and he could drain anything. It's incredible. Like, even him, he shot 6 for 14 from 3. He had 35 points. Like, he's just so freaking good. He's incredible, Trae Young. And then, but obviously, he's not the only one on that team that's been contributing, obviously, because John Collins has been amazing as well. He's been throwing out some nice lobs. Clint Capella has been a nice centerpiece for them. Like, we know that trade that he made last year, like, when the Hawks got him from the Houston Rockets. Like, it's been incredible. They have such a stacked team. And then there's this other guy, obviously, that's been shooting really good for them as well. Who I call him the Ginger German, basically, in Kevin Huerter.
Literally, that's a nickname right there.
Well, he's German and he's a ginger because he has red hair. So basically, that's what I call him, the Ginger German. Kevin Huerter, he's been amazing in these playoffs as well, shooting the lights out of the ball. I know he only had 11 points, but there were a few games where he dropped 20 in these playoffs. So it's been incredible to see. And then obviously, there's also Danilo Gallinari. Obviously, us Italians were very happy that we're in the quarterfinals of the Euro. So I'm sure Danilo Gallinari was like, I'm so hyped from Italy beating Austria in the extra time. So I'm going to show up for my squad here in Atlanta, and I'm going to drop 18 points tonight. Well, not tonight, last night. But obviously, both teams have been incredible. The Atlanta Hawks have been surprising everybody. I had the Sixers going to the finals before I did my playoff prediction, and they knocked them out in 7. So I got to give credit where credit's due to the 5-seeded Atlanta Hawks. Massive upset.
You know, even if the Hawks do end up losing, which it kind of seems like it's going that way, I mean, the fact that they even got this far, I'm so proud of them. I'm so happy for stars like Trae Young that got to shine during this playoff series. I know a lot of people are upset with how the playoffs are this year. A lot of great players are injured, and all these teams that you would never have expected to make it this far, they've made it. And you know what? I know it's not something we're used to seeing, but it's kind of cool to see these other players with the opportunity to finally shine. This is their moment. This is their chance. This is their time to finally show, like, you know, their skills. And, you know, I know Trae Young, he's been getting, you know, some spotlight on him recently, but I feel like with the playoffs now, like, people like Middleton and Trae Young, like, they've been getting noticed more, and people have been seeing, like, the way they play the game and, like, how they've been showing up for all these playoff games. And, you know, same goes for the West too. I mean, you know, I know Devin Booker. I'm going to bring the West back into this too. I know he's been getting a little bit of more spotlight this year too. Like, he's like starting to become like one of the best players in the NBA right now. And, you know, with how he's gotten so far in the playoffs, and, you know, what he did to the Lakers, what he did to Denver, and I know he's been trying to play his best basketball against the Clippers, and I know he's injured too right now, so that's been kind of holding him back from playing like the way he normally would. But you know, he's been doing great. I mean, overall, this playoff series, like, all these players that, like, you know, that just never got enough credit for what they've done for their team, they're finally starting to get it, and people are starting to notice that, because all these other great all-stars are not in the conference finals right now. And, you know, it's something that I told a lot of people is that the Nets, I never saw the Nets making it past round 2. I just felt like, not even because of their injuries, I feel like even with I feel like even with Irving and Harden, like, being out, well, Harden was there the last game, but, like, I just didn't really see a team like that winning this year. Like, the way the playoffs are right now with the teams that are in it right now, I mean, except for the Clippers, I kind of saw it happening this way. And it's weird to see it, but it's kind of nice to see it too, is my point. It's like a whole different series we're watching. It's not the same thing that we would be watching every year. It's not the same teams we expect every year. And also Giannis, like, finally, you know, getting to be in the Eastern Conference and soon to be finals with the way they're playing right now. You know, it's kind of nice to see these other players get the opportunity to win that championship and you know, the finals MVP, because they're deserving of it too. And I know we're all Laker fans here, and as much as we would love to see our team win it every year, you know, it's kind of nice to be rooting for the underdogs for once too, and see what they're made of.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, in the end of the day, guys, you know, yeah, we're fan. You know, yes, we're a fan of a team. We have a team that we all love. You know, which is the Lakers. But obviously, the most important thing is we're fans of the game. That's number one. That's first and foremost. So, you know, who's ever out there playing, they're playing with a purpose. Look, Lakers had their run. We had our run last season, and they were healthy. But obviously, you know, different story of this year. You know, just new generation of teams right now. New people that haven't been this far in the game. Phoenix has a chance to do something also. Guys, I mean, since I was born, 93, that was the last time they made it to the finals. So, you know, they have a chance to do something special. The Clippers have a chance of doing something special because they've never been in the finals. Atlanta and Milwaukee, everybody has a chance this year. You know, and that's the biggest thing I think that's different with the playoffs this year is, you know, you just don't know. You know, you can't really put a picture to who's going to be in the finals. I mean, you know, Phoenix could come out flat next game and Clippers could tie it. Or, for instance, Phoenix could come out and take care of the Clippers, or vice versa. It could go 7 games. I mean, Manny, we thought ideally anybody that plays the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals, you said it. You were saying it even earlier on in the playoffs. You said Phoenix is going to go no matter what. if they go to the Western Conference Finals, it's a 7-game series, and that's what
That's
you were
true.
saying. You know, you've been saying that. I mean, you've been literally spot on about Phoenix since the playoffs started. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Does it hold up? And also, the biggest thing is, I know Matthew talked about it earlier too, is Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. Do you guys? I mean, do you guys think he put Medina? Do you think he plays? You know, I think I know Manny said he thinks he should hold him out. Does he play? I mean, you know, would you
No.
play with the season? Your season's on the line. You know, you can't necessarily have Paul George carrying that team and carrying that load of offense. You know, it's just, you know, does it add up? Does Paul George stay as hot as he was tonight? I mean, he literally couldn't miss the second half.
Well, just to answer Aaron's question real
Yeah.
quick, I don't think you should play Kawhi. I mean, the Clippers, I know they're you know faced with elimination, but I just feel like they don't need him right now. I feel like they've been doing well without him. They're not struggling immensely either. Like every player has been stepping it up ever since he's been injured. And honestly, you have a pretty healthy team, pretty healthy, strong team. So why would you risk putting one of your best star players out there and risk a more serious injury? I mean, I feel like the Clippers got this. And honestly, if you want to be known as one of the best teams and you want to get out of that reputation, of that bad reputation of like, oh, we blew a 3-1 lead last year. I mean, this is kind of the way to do it. You got to show people like, hey, we won the Western Conference Finals without our star player. We came back from a 3-1 lead. It's time to show you guys what we're made of. Like we're one of the best now, you know? Again, it pains me to say that, but it's true.
Yeah,
I'm just speaking facts here. Yeah.
But honestly, it's not only because of the fact that it's too much to carry on his shoulders for Paul George, but Kawhi Leonard should sit out because they have a lot to prove. Not only were they bounced out of the second round and lost a 3-1 series lead last year to the Nuggets, but that's the reason why. Because it's not only the team that's been like that, but even Paul George has been ridiculed by a bunch of NBA fans, including myself. So he needs to prove himself. He needs to get out of that hump from Pandemic P and be known as Paul George like he's known in the regular season. If he proves himself like that, like he was, because he was an MVP candidate in his last year with OKC. We all remember that. If he can play like that in these remaining games, which he has been, we're looking at a possible NBA Finals MVP if the Clippers win the championship. It kills me to say that. It really does. But if the Clippers do win the championship, he could be the Finals MVP. Obviously, I want to see the Hawks win the championship because I like to see underdogs win. But I know the Clippers are underdogs, but I'm not going to root for the Clippers over the Hawks, obviously.
Hey, you know, though, anything's possible. That's how I've always said the playoffs. Playoffs are everything's put to bed. Whatever happened, whatever you did in the regular season, you could be the 8th seed. You could literally be the 8th seed in a playoff series and make it all the way to the finals. You know, that's happened before. You know, you just have to play the game the right way. You have to play with a passion. You have to play with a purpose. And if the Clippers play with a purpose, they'll tie it up. The Clippers come out flat in Game 6, I think Phoenix is going to take care of business. Obviously, we'll be covering those games as well. In the East, I mean, also, before we get to the East again, Zubac. You know, we were talking about him earlier. The Clippers didn't have him tonight. Does that affect them, though? Do you guys think that Monty Williams is going to come out, adjust his lineup now and say, well, hey, they don't have a big guy. Let's shuffle this around here. Let's switch things up a little bit more, but let's attack the paint. And I feel like, you know, we were talking about this earlier at halftime. We said, look, you know, if the Clippers theoretically have no shot blocker right now, the DeMarcus Cousins doesn't really shot block too much. I mean, he can, but he's not that versatile big guy that he used to be. But I mean, you know, if they're going to play Marcus Morris and they're going to go small at their center, should Phoenix counter offer that and keep Ayton in the game right now, or play him reduced minutes. I think honestly they have the talent to even go small if they want to. If they want to match up better, maybe attack the paint more, and then whoever puts their big guy in first is when you match up the two big guys again.
Well, that's exactly what I said before, Aaron. DeAndre Ayton was playing way too many minutes, and he just wasn't showing much of aggression. You have a backup center that you took in the first round, Jalen Smith. Why not let him play at least I'm not saying play him 20 plus minutes, because we want to give most of those minutes to DeAndre Ayton, but we also want to give him a bit of ease and make him go on the substitutions to get Jalen Smith in there and play at least 15 minutes. 15 minutes is actually pretty doable for a backup center. If he can play that many minutes, I'm sure he can show up a lot, because look at the Atlanta Hawks with Onyeka Okongwu. That's their first round pick as well. That was this year. And he's been playing very well backup minutes because he's been the backup to Clint Capella. He's been playing very, very well. So I want to see Jalen Smith get there. He's been very, very good in college. So I know for a fact Phoenix could put away the Clippers if they have that mentality and Monty Williams says, you know what, DeAndre Ayton, you played 37 minutes. We're going to reduce your minutes down to 28 and maybe get Jalen Smith playing backup. Because I don't know how you draft the guy in the first round. It's not the fact that he's your backup center. That's nothing bad. But the fact that you're only playing him 1 minute, if I was a Suns fan, I'd be fuming at Monty Williams for doing that. He's a backup. He should be playing some minutes. Why are you only playing one? I don't understand where Monty Williams' head was. I just feel like in the front court department is the main reason why they lost tonight.
I can't help but feel like this reminds me of a lot of what the Lakers did this playoff series too, where they went wrong. We saw that a lot with them, and you think, other teams would probably look at that and realize, hey, they made a mistake by not playing so-and-so and giving this other guy more minutes and this other guy has more rest and he's great at the game too. But you know what? We're not going to give him a chance because we don't want that. We want to just put our big players out there. So, I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. I feel like these other players, these bench players even, they deserve, more minutes. They deserve a chance to show, how they're willing to help their team. And sometimes when one player is cold, you got to bring in someone else to help you out. You can't just keep playing the same person because, we saw what happened with the Lakers. It didn't get them that far. And, the Suns right now, I know we're low-key rooting for them to win the series. So if they have any chance of winning, they got to do what they got to do. They got to swap out some players and reduce minutes and just give other guys a chance to show what they're capable of doing. You're muted, Aaron.
You're muted.
My bad. You're a little rusty on this, But I think, honestly, Medina, you were saying everything right. You guys were spot on, of course. And honestly, we'll see what happens. Back at it again on Wednesday, that series. It's going to say a lot. We'll be there to cover it. But also tomorrow, Bucks and the Hawks are back at it again. Game 4, that's at 5:30 on TNT. We will be here to cover it around the NBA as well. Cover that game. Guys, what are you predicting for this game right now? Look, Milwaukee's up in this series. Do you guys think right now, taking guesses here, does Atlanta tie the series or does Milwaukee go up 3-1?
I think they tie it. And maybe it's a little bit of bias because I like seeing the underdogs win. But I saw the way the Hawks pulled their own against the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that I had coming out of the East. And that was the 1 seed. So I feel like they really could do that. It's just you got to end up contesting Chris Middleton. If you contest Chris Middleton, easily I feel like you can win that game because you just got to keep him cold because he's very hot right now because he's been hitting a lot of threes and he's been playing very clutch. And another thing, Trae Young has to be Trae Young like he's always been in these playoffs. He's got to be that mini Steph Curry like he's always been in these playoffs. He's got to just shoot the ball and make every shot wherever he's going. whether it's a half court shot or it's just a regular three. Like we know Trae Young is capable of doing it. And another thing is that the ginger German as well has to shoot the lights out of the ball. You know what I'm talking about, Kevin Herter. He's been playing amazing in these playoffs. He's got to just shoot the ball and make those high percentage shots like he always did. I mean, I get he only had 11 points, but he's got to get at least at 18, 19, 20 points per game like he had in the Philly series. And if he does that against Milwaukee, we're looking at a massive underdog story. Can you imagine the Atlanta Hawks win the championship? I believe their last championship was 1958, which is a long time. My grandparents were still kids back then. So, yeah.
I mean, I want to see Atlanta win it all. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm rooting for the underdogs.
Same.
I want to see Trae Young go all the way. But I said this to myself last game, and I said, you know, if Hawks lose game 3, I don't really see them coming back from it. I just feel like Bucks are just a stronger team overall. And you know, I know the Hawks beat Philadelphia, but you know the Bucks, they beat the Nets, and I just don't see Atlanta going further this series. As much as I want them to, and I hope I'm wrong, and they show up tomorrow and they tie up the series, but I just see Bucks taking it. And if the Hawks would have won the last game, I could have seen it going to like game 6, even possibly a game 7. You know, like I said, this playoff series is really unpredictable this year. You don't know what these teams are going to do. But I mean, since Bucks won last game, I don't really see the Hawks coming back from that, especially because I think they're playing at the Bucks Center tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're playing at home. Yeah, so I feel like it's going to be really hard for Atlanta to come back from that.
You know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard regardless. I think this series is going to be something here. I mean, hey, it could honestly, this series could go 7 games. It just really just depends on how Atlanta responds. You know, obviously, do they tie it? Does Milwaukee take the lead? Guys, that's what we got tomorrow to sit here and talk about Atlanta and Milwaukee. So that's going to do it for us for Around the NBA, presented by the Around the NBA Playoff Edition, presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. Great to have you guys back here. We missed you guys.
Missed you guys.
Great to have my crew back
Great
here.
to be back.
It is good to be back. Something about being reunited here. That's gonna do it for us. For Manny, Medina, and myself, I'm Aaron. Guys, have a good night. We'll catch you tomorrow. Coverage for Around the NBA Playoff Edition. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Peace.